Hey everybody, welcome to week 6, MBA 631. Hope you're doing great. As I do each week, I just want to provide a little overview or a recap of what you can expect as we move forward into this week. This week's on chapter 5 of the text, and it deals specifically with analyzing competition. And so, as you think about like the competitive landscape, we look at market orientation, where we kind of look at the customer and the competitors all in the same thing. So now let's focus on the competitors specifically. There are three videos or three pieces to the lecture series for this particular week, and we want to focus on the structure, understanding the structure from a competitive standpoint of the industry, which is pretty straightforward. In particular, we look at market share as one of those indicators of concentration. So that's an important piece. And then we focus on actually like analyzing competitors. And the reason why we want to do this is we want to understand to the best of our ability what we think they're going to do moving forward, like what we think their action is going to be. Okay, so if we have deploy a strategy, what will our competitors do as a result? Or in the future, what do we think our competitors are going to do that we can react to in order to prevent or halt their strategy from working? So again, it's learning your competitor, learning their objectives, understanding their goals, understanding the strategies they use to reach those goals, and then predicting what they're going to do next. So that's what this chapter is really all about. Now, one of the tools that is talked about there and we look at is Porter's 5 forces model. So this is a management model. 3 of the 5 components deal directly with competitors and how to think about those. So I focus on those a lot, but also controlling the channel of distribution or controlling the supply chain is also a big part of competition. And so our reflection this week, our discussion deals with a situation where a small independent company who has very little to no market share is trying to compete with very large companies that have large market shares, but also control a lot of the market through by use of a leverage they have in the movie industry, movie theater industry, anyways, called a clearance. And so I think this is going to be an interesting challenge for you to think about the structure of the industry and how competition is achieved through not necessarily the market, right? The market's not controlling success here. It's the relationship firms have with each other in a supply scenario. So it's a really unique kind of case, but I think it demonstrates really well the idea of understanding the competitive structure of an industry. That's really what I want you to take away from this reflection. I think it'll be really fun to look at. I'm excited to see that. There are some other readings. The Pabst Blue Ribbon reading is another one where we're looking at industry structure and how the structure allows firms to succeed or not, and how they collaborate with each other. The Ford hires a new CMO article deals with firm resources. So does the Hellman's to an extent as well. The Hellman's one deals with a startup company that has a R&D innovation, and it is strategically designed to compete directly with Hellman's mayonnaise. And there's a kerfuffle about all of that in the article. And then the Ford hires the CMO away from Toyota, again talks about firm resources where a clear objective or goal of Ford is identified, and then the strategy they're using is by taking one of their competitors' key employees. So again, these are all can be framed or thought of from a competitive positioning point of view, and they all illustrate how to compete or how to form a strategy in order to compete based on what your competitors' goals are, what their intentions are, and some things like that. One other supplemental reading, it's a book chapter, chapter 5, from the product development or product management book by Lehman and Weiner, which is really, really fun to read. It's really interesting. There's a part of that chapter that talks about sources of information about your competitors. And I think it's really, really instrumental if you're doing research on a competitor to identify where those sources of information are going to come from. And that's what that piece does. It's a supplemental piece just for background if you want to look at that. I think you'd find it interesting. And so again, I try to create some support pieces for those who want to know a little bit more about the topic, and want to dive into it a little bit more. But anyways, should be a good week. I'm excited to see these reflections and see how things are going. I hope you're having a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.